What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today is the 1-year anniversary of Black Ops Cold War, a game that really means the world to me for a multitude of reasons, and we'll get into that. But we also have another quiet update that's live in-game right now. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and be sure to check out our wonderful partner Manscaped, who recently released a variety of products with the Performance Package 4.0. You can clean your bombs on there like never before with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker trimmer for our nose and ears, the Crop Preserver deodorant, and even the Crop Reviver toner. There's also some free gifts like the Magic Mat, the Manscaped boxers, and the luxury travel bag. Don't forget about the link down below in the description, and use code TWITCH20 to save 20% off your order. Now do keep in mind, more content could still be on the way for Cold War, which I'll certainly cover in the near future. There was rumored Season 6 reloaded material, including remastered maps, weapons, and even more, which may end up getting the Modern Warfare treatment of being released sporadically throughout 2022. It happened before with the scrap Season 7 of Modern Warfare, and a bunch of different content started releasing even when Cold War was already out. We'll see if that happens again. Now today we got a new bundle added to the game, which again nobody's really talking about, the Samurai's Creed for 1600 COD points, a really cool looking skin here for Kitsune, also featuring blueprints for the Stoner, the Magnum. We also have a charm, an accessory, a finishing move, which is pretty brutal, as well as an emblem and even a sticker. So this is going to be the last operator skin that we know of right now that's coming to Black Ops Cold War. I believe there's a few minor bundles still coming with the rest of Season 6, and the season doesn't end, of course, till December the 2nd, so anything can happen until then, but I wouldn't be surprised if randomly throughout 2022 we end up getting some other really cool and unexpected bundles added to the game shop. I'll keep you guys posted with that. But when it comes to the 1-year anniversary of this game, like I said earlier, Cold War really means a lot to me for a variety of reasons we're going to break down. But I would say first and definitely foremost, as a content creator, my channel has doubled since the launch of this game. So this game really broke me into the YouTube community, into the Call of Duty community. I've been making videos for about 10 years, started doing them a little bit more seriously during Black Ops 3 cycle, and I started doing it full-time as a job during Black Ops 4. But with Cold War, this game really changed my life. And you can make fun of that if you want in the comments, but that's really what it is. And in all honesty, this game just made me really proud to be a Call of Duty content creator. I'm really happy with the content I produced over the last year. And yeah, I generally do more Call of Duty news and coverage, but I'm definitely trying a lot of new styles of content, which you're going to be seeing over the course of Vanguard's life cycle and beyond. But don't worry, what you guys probably subscribe to me for isn't going away. I'm just going to be adding to that with other types of videos that I'm happy about making. And yeah, it's not easy to be a Call of Duty content creator altogether. How original can you possibly be, right? But you gotta try. I also really enjoy doing live streams here for you guys on YouTube. I'm one of few COD creators that doesn't go ahead and stream on Twitch, and it's been great playing different CODs, doing open lobbies, grinding new events, DLC, and obviously the podcast every single week as well. And that's not going anywhere. I really do enjoy live streaming. I'll be continuing that for the foreseeable future. But seeing my channel at top 3 or even number 1 at times in the YouTube gaming category for Cold War, I mean, that's something I never thought I would see, and it sincerely means a lot to me. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for the support over the Cold War season, and I hope you continue to support me and the channel as I continue covering Vanguard and future Call of Duties to release. With Cold War, in terms of content, right, I'm not necessarily saying that objectively this is the best Black Ops game, but what I will say is objectively, it's the most updated Black Ops game. So allow me to break that down for you. So when it comes to multiplayer, there were 25 6v6 maps available to play, and I'm fully aware of how rough launch was for some people. If people weren't on board with either Fireteam or Combined Arms, then 6v6 might not have felt as great when the game first released. But over time, as we see with typical Call of Duties, the game just got that much better. And I know, right, if you're aware of the rough development circumstances surrounding this game, then you'll understand why there probably weren't many 6v6 maps in Black Ops Cold War at release. It wasn't even Treyarch's game to begin with, it was Sledgehammer's, but they took over and in a short amount of time turned this into a direct sequel to Black Ops 1. Yeah, there were remasters, and yeah, I guess you could say there were quite a few of them, but for ones like Raid and Hijacked, I guess they made sense, right? They were probably ported over from Blackout, were probably going to be in Black Ops 4 multiplayer, but never got added. A map like Express was definitely a big question about a remaster. I'm not sure if that's a fan favorite for many people out there, but ones like Drive-In and Zoo, my god, I haven't played those maps in so long, and they felt great. Better than ever here with Black Ops Cold War. Really happy to have seen those maps brought back, and the fact that many people probably didn't even play the originals in Black Ops 1 over 10 years ago, they practically were new maps for a lot of people. The diversity with the multiplayer maps in this game was one of the strong suits of this game altogether. That's just my opinion, of course, but I haven't really religiously played multiplayer since, I want to say, Black Ops 3, World War II. Wasn't on board with Infinite Warfare or Modern Warfare 2019's multiplayer, and during Black Ops 4, I was playing more Blackout than anything. But there's also 9 playable Gunfight maps, which are also available as face-off experiences, and don't forget about the Gunfight tournaments as well. I mean, Gunfight is one of the only things I liked about Modern Warfare 2019. I'm glad to see it brought back here with Cold War, and I'm sure it's going to come back back with Vanguard and games after that. But yeah, with the 9 gunfight maps, I mean, hey, it was some extra content nonetheless, and I actually went through all the gunfight tournaments, got all the free blueprints for them. It was something extra. I mean, I'm definitely a completionist, so that's why I went through all of them, but I do like the fact that they kept up with gunfights ever since it first released back in Season 1. There were also 5 Fireteam maps, and I'm sure many more were on the table. Everybody knows about the rumors regarding the Ural Mountains experience, which was likely going to be a Blackout 2.0 type experience, where you play on the entirety of this Ural Mountains map, which featured all the regions that we now have in Fireteam and even Outbreak. But who knows why that map got canceled? Maybe it was some time constraint. Maybe Warzone was just too popular to where they're like, you know what? Let's not do a full-fledged Blackout 2.0 in Cold War. Save that for another time. But I personally was a massive Fireteam fanboy. I love the fact they added in Fireteam Elimination, which is practically just Battle Royale on all the regions. I had a lot of fun with it. People might disagree, and that's totally fine. I felt like it was a smoother version of Warzone. I know it's a hot take. I definitely understand that. But this mode just kept me going over the past year. I really enjoyed it, but the player count might not have been as strong as it needed to be to warrant any further updates to this mode after, like, I think Season 4 Reloaded or Season 5. We didn't get any of the other regions that seemed complete from the rumored Ural Mountains experience, which gameplay exists of. Would have hoped to see more, and maybe they'll bring this mode back in the future with some tweaks to make it even better, but I definitely love this mode. You saw a lot of gameplay of it in a lot of my recent videos over the past few months. And we also had 5 combined arms maps, and this is an interesting mode to me because I wasn't too fond of it during the beta of this game, but I played it a little bit here and there. But strangely enough, there was only 1 DLC map added to combined arms, and that was Collateral, a fantastic map, by the way, which I would play anytime. But the thing is, maybe the player count really wasn't enough to warrant any other DLC combined arms maps over the past couple of months. I'm not sure what happened with this mode, but support for it seemingly died off right after release. I really wasn't a huge fan of Ground War in Modern Warfare 2019. Maybe combined arms is a bit too similar to that. I liked combined arms a bit more than Ground War, but I think Fireteam to me was the perfect open world type experience in Call of Duty multiplayer. Now, shockingly, we had 61 weapons added to Black Ops Cold War. This includes launch all the way through Season 6. That's a lot of goddamn weapons. And in all honesty, Dark Ether Camo from Zombies looks far better on all the weapons than Dark Matter Ultra. Could be a hot take. I know a lot of multiplayer sweats do prefer Dark Matter Ultra, maybe because they don't play Zombies at all. But I love the look of Dark Ether Camo on all these weapons. I mean, yeah, the meta was strange from time to time. I think right now, in terms of Cold War multiplayer, the meta is probably dealing with the Marshals and maybe the Tech 9. There are some frustrating weapons, but like with every other Call of Duty, there are always those overpowered DLC weapons that end up taking over the entire game. It just happens. That's the way Call of Duty multiplayers work. But I think there were a lot of goddamn diverse weapons in this game that I really enjoyed using. And if anything, if I had more time to play games, because I do spend more of my time making content, would have loved to spend more time using some other weapons that I really only used a handful of times, right? I kind of stuck to my main 5 to 6 weapons over the past year, which may include DLC ones. But altogether, I think the amount of weapons in this game reminds me of how many were in Black Ops 3 as well. Now, when it comes to kill streaks, I am one of those people out there, and before you call me a casual or somebody that's new to multiplayer, I'm one of those people that did like the new Scorestreak system in Cold War. I've been playing Call of Duty multiplayer since COD 4, I mean, no joke, and I think it was a nice breath of fresh air to say, okay, even if I die by a camper or a cheater or somebody using a meta weapon, I won't lose progress towards my next kill streak. I was okay with that, but I am fully aware that the air patrol was a frustrating streak in this game that kind of made going for higher streaks a bit pointless. Imagine working hard towards a harp or a gunship and then someone just calls it an air patrol. It doesn't take much to earn at all, and it just takes away the streak you worked hard for. That was definitely frustrating, but we had some really fun DLC kill streaks added to the game, like the hand cannon, the harp, the death machine, and much more. I love the idea of DLC kill streaks, and I hope we see more of that with Vanguard and future Call of Duties as well. It just keeps the replayability through the roof. I mean, every single season, having a new streak to try out, having new weapons to use, new maps to play on, I mean, that to me is just building more and more replayability for a mode that's been around for over a decade. Now, we definitely had an amazing amount of modes added to Cold War, especially the newer ones they introduced, like Dropkick, which is very fitting for Cold War altogether, Stockpile, which I believe was called Fracture during Black Ops 3, and it was also in Black Ops 4. I love that mode. I think it was played the most out of any other LTM since they kept it in the game for like a season and a half. Cranked, of course, which was only supposed to be a Season 3 Reloaded 80s Action Heroes LTM. That got played so much to where they kept that in for even longer and introduced us to the nuke as well, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's the first time Treyarch brought us a nuke that we typically only see in Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer Call of Duty. So, gotta give props to Cranked. And nearly all party modes were introduced, as we usually would see. Double Agent, another fitting mode for the Cold War era. Absolutely love that one. Streamed it quite a bit. And a variety of crossover themed events featuring bundles and a spin on certain game modes centered around Die Hard, Rambo, Judge Dredd, Donnie Darko, and even Ghostface. I mean, they really went all out with this game, and I can't think of any other Black Ops that introduced as much content as this one. Now, we also had those in-game challenge events like Rebirth, Outbreak, Hunt for Adler, Groundfall, The Numbers, The Haunting, and probably some other minor ones that I can't think about right now off the top of my head. But I love the fact that those in-game challenge events not only gave us opportunities for free cosmetics, but it also really went along with the fluency of the canon from the post-launch story. Those in-game challenge events mattered, and they kind of played a role behind the scenes in shaping the story that we know from the intro and outro cinematics that we got for each and every season. I love the fact they really cared about the post-launch story, picking up right where campaign left off, and then introducing us to new characters and this new plot point that was really interesting to keep up with over 6 whole seasons. I absolutely love that, and I don't think any other developer has managed to capture the community over the post-launch season with a story like that. I don't think that's ever been tried before, and I hope to see it tried again in the future. Now, to add on to that, the multiplayer maps that were the focus of each season, like Pines, Apocalypse, Mount Yemmental, Collateral, Echelon, Deprogram, they furthered the narrative. Those maps mattered in the post-launch story, which was great, setting up new villains, which I want to say the payoff for those new villains is still in question unless we killed them all towards the ending of the Season 6 outro cutscene. We'll have to wait and see, but there was just great continuity. Treyarch made sure that everything they added to this game mattered in terms of their new canon with Black Ops Cold War. Now, real quickly, I also want to mention that I actually do like the seasonal prestige system. I mean, am I the only person that thinks it's silly for somebody to say, hey, the old prestige system was better because I can grind it all on day one? What's the point of that, right? You finish all 10 prestiges during launch week, and then what do you do for the remainder of that year? There's no other prestiges to go for. That's just it, unless they extend the ranking by any means. But with Cold War, it's like, all right, get the Prestige Master when the game came out, and then you have 4 additional prestiges each season to also grind for. We now have, what, 27 prestiges total, which is far more than any other Call of Duty I could think of. So how is the system not better than before? It's great. And I think it's cool that they introduced prestige keys, right? Every time you hit 50 levels, you'll get a prestige key, and you can actually redeem those keys for exclusive blueprints, calling cards, legacy content in the prestige shop. They could obviously make that system better in the future where there's better rewards to grind for and make that more worthwhile, but for now, it's definitely a great start. Now, when it comes to zombies, I have a lot to say about this. First off, Die Maschine, I thought it was a great launch map. Left people with a desire for more, despite people today complaining that, you know, Vanguard Zombies isn't enough, and I get it. The mode is definitely lackluster at the moment. I've talked about that for 30 minutes straight in a previous video. I'm aware, but now people are saying that even one round-based map would have been enough, but when Die Maschine came out, people claimed that it wasn't, right? And now you obviously see the tweets that are claiming Die Maschine was perfect. It wasn't, but it did have a main quest and a few side Easter eggs I didn't care too much for. But overall, a solid map and a great start to our new Dark Ether story. We also had Dead Ops Arcade 3, which I loved covering this past year. I might even make more videos about it in the future if it makes sense. But I loved covering that mode. There was so much content involved in it, which not many people were talking about at all in the zombies community. And I made a joke before, Dead Ops Arcade 3 has more content than all of Modern Warfare. And yeah, it's just a joke, but there is some truth to it, don't get me wrong. Definitely a ton of fun, definitely worth a shot. And I think is by far the best iteration of Dead Ops that we've gotten from Treyarch. It's absolutely fantastic, but because of the new seasonal structure, DLC 1, Firebase Z, and what's now called DLC 2, which is Outbreak, actually released a few weeks apart from one another, which was strange. And I wasn't a huge fan of Firebase Z's gameplay, despite the story still being rich. Outbreak then released in a fairly bare-bones state, which became a drastically different mode after multiple seasons of updates. It's certainly the beginning of something special, and will only become further evolved in Treyarch's next game, without a doubt. Aside from the sandbox-like elements, world events, and vehicles, we ended up getting not one, but 2 main quests added to Outbreak for the launch of DLC 3, Mater Toten. And I thought the map was really well polished and had the best quest in-game by that point. Also the Wonder Weapon, absolutely fantastic. But the 6-month wait for DLC 3 and some people's distaste for Outbreak definitely had the community in a bit of a weird state by the time Mater Toten came out in July. But everybody really misinterpreted what Outbreak was supposed to be. I think that's fair enough though, since it wasn't originally labeled as DLC 2 to begin with. But with that, I think because of the development that went into Outbreak and because of the pandemic circumstances, we only ended up with 4 round-based maps by the end of Cold War's life cycle. That's fewer than any other Black Ops game to date, but there's a reason for that. So before everybody knew it, we got DLC 4, Forsaken, by far my favorite map in the game, with the most exciting main quest, most powerful wonder weapon in my opinion, and the most rewarding side Easter eggs that we have in this game thus far. And I think it makes sense for Treyarch to say, you know what, if we're planning on doing something different in the future with the game mode, like Outbreak or Onslaught, whatever the case is, let's offer all of those together here in one single Call of Duty, and we'll go from there. And yeah, without getting into Vanguard zombies, I get it. There isn't enough in what is being offered right now, but Cold War to me had the perfect formula, offering the best of multiple worlds, depending on what you prefer to play when it comes to zombies. Now, people might not have been happy with a lot of maps borrowing certain rooms or layouts from campaign and multiplayer, but during a pandemic and a laundry list of other circumstances that Treyarch had to deal with, the best they could do was bring zombies back to its roots, where they repurpose existing levels and give them new life with the undead, no pun intended. But yeah, quests got easier, but that's absolutely another consequence of all the crying during Black Ops 4, where people complained quests were too difficult, they were too story-driven, too complex, not replayable supposedly. On top of Activision having zombies appeal to a new audience that they've built with Warzone. There's a lot of reasons why Easter eggs are being made easier, and that's not going anywhere. Hopefully people understand that by now, and I'm personally okay with that, considering anybody could just hop on and play. Everybody could try a quest, everybody could do X, Y, and Z, whereas in games like Black Ops 3 or even Black Ops 4, that wasn't possible for a new player to just hop into and try things out. We also can't forget about Onslaught, which had 19 maps, then 5 extra for the containment mode, allowing you to play zombies on smaller gunfight experiences. But some maps didn't get Onslaught support for whatever reason. It's unclear why that was. Maybe ran out of time, maybe some other issues with the mode itself, and it was only available to 2 players, not 4, which also never really got answered. I'm not sure why that was the case, but I've always wanted to play zombies on multiplayer maps. I think a map like Der Schatten in Black Ops 4 multiplayer, which was the town below Der Eisendrache, really sparked interest in that idea for me. I'm like, you know what? Why not just throw a mystery box or some wall buys or a pack-a-punch on some of these multiplayer maps and just have that be that Grossenhaus type content, just extra replayability where there isn't a main Easter egg or anything, but just an extra map you can hop onto, kill some zombies, go for camos, and that's what Onslaught is to me. I definitely enjoyed hopping onto it every time a new season dropped. When there were new updates, I played it at least once a week. I had fun with it. Now, this is another mode that did have a high enough player count to justify more post-launch updates, significantly improving the mode with new features and vital support for Pack-a-Punch, AATs, etc. When the mode first came out, it was a bit rough, but still performed well enough for Treyarch to say, you know what, people are playing it, let's make it better. Let's look at the feedback and let's get this going. Now, I'm aware it was exclusive to PlayStation for an entire year, nothing to do with Treyarch, but that's of course the deal between Activision and Sony. I don't think if it was available on all platforms from day one, that would have made any major difference to the mode itself, but I'm glad Xbox and PC can now enjoy it. It's a lot of extra content, especially if you're not happy with Vanguard zombies. You get to go ahead and play some basic zombie survival on every single multiplayer map, or almost all of them, in Cold War right now. Now, none of the LTMs really stuck out to me for Onslaught except for Containment, which is obvious, but Onslaught gun game was a lot of fun in my opinion. Really enjoyed that one. But it's cool, they still added some extra LTMs here and there, which I'm sure will be brought back into a mosh pit of sorts in a future updates for PlayStation and other platforms. So that's it with Onslaught, but I also want to mention Battle Passes real quickly. Now, as you guys have probably noticed, I've kept a majority of this video to just free content and free updates. Of course, you have to buy the game, but there obviously isn't a season pass where you have to pay for a pass and then get your DLC maps from there. All these updates were free, but I do want to mention these Battle Passes were 10 bucks a pop, and technically if you bought the Season 1 Battle Pass and saved your COD points you got for free, you could buy each and every other one absolutely free with those COD points for every other season. So I would say there were some really cool tier 100 skins. Some of the later ones introduced ultra reactive versions, which I was definitely on board with. There were some nice blueprints, there were some cool mixtapes featuring a lot of bangers from previous Treyarch titles. We had some cool vehicle skins, and it was something extra to grind for, right? Everybody knows what's going on with the Fortnite effect, right? Inspiring other developers and publishers to introduce battle passes and seasons, and that's probably not going anywhere anytime soon, but being able to play all modes to progress your tiers with the Battle Pass is certainly a step up from how the Battle Passes worked in Black Ops 4. Now, those Battle Passes were free for each operation in Black Ops 4, but it was much harder to progress through tiers unless you were playing multiplayer in Blackout. For zombies, it was a bit more complicated, doing contracts and, you know, unlocking tier skips through some other challenges, but I definitely think for 10 bucks, these Battle Passes definitely featured a lot of bang for your buck in comparison to the ones that we got in Modern Warfare. Just my opinion, of course. Now, I'm not going to be discussing bundles because then this video will be way too long, but I might do a separate video in the future going over some of the top bundles that got introduced during this game's life cycle. Now, lastly, with the Warzone integration, right? Everybody knows Cold War is on a different engine from Modern Warfare, so clearly the integration with the weapons, some of the mechanics that we have in Cold War was a bit strange to see in Warzone. Took a little bit of extra testing, polishing, bug fixing. It wasn't perfect, we all know that. Now, the meta was certainly ever-changing because of how crazy some of the Cold War weapons were when they translated that over to Modern Warfare's engine. Some of the weapons felt different. They weren't exactly the same as they were with Cold War multiplayer, but for being the first Warzone integration post-release of this Battle Royale, it was so successful in my book. Rebirth Island was a blast. I'm really happy they introduced that despite being a reskin of Alcatraz from Blackouts. Still great, and I think people that were fans of Alcatraz and Blackouts knew exactly how to play here on Rebirth with Warzone. Now, Verdansk 84 was a fresh coat of paint on a map I wasn't too particularly fond with to begin with, but the addition of red doors, new locations, and some nice lore for the Black Ops universe definitely had me intrigued to play despite the cheaters. It's kind of funny how Treyarch was really the only developer, or I should say Treyarch in collaboration with Raven, were the only devs to add new points of interest to Verdansk. During Modern Warfare's life cycle, we didn't get any new points of interest at all really from Infinity Ward or their collaboration with Raven, so it was cool to see that the Treyarch crossover inspired more to do in Verdansk and inspired more locations to be added, and the LTMs were a lot better this year than Modern Warfare cycle, just the way I see it. Despite the cheaters, I still had fun in Warzone this past year. I didn't play it as much as multiplayer, but still gave it a shot. I would have loved to see the rumored Ural Mountains map added to Warzone instead of Verdansk 84, but we can't get everything we want, right? Who knows what the map was even for to begin with? It could have been a Blackout 2.0 in Cold War, not a map that would have came to Warzone like previously rumored, or might have even been for Outbreak at some point. We just don't know. And I would also say there was a divide between Modern Warfare players and Cold War players over the past year, and I guess that's natural considering both games are drastically different, even though both do share a number of mechanics that Warzone does have, which kind of is the bridge between the gap of those two. But now that Vanguard's on the Modern Warfare engine and feels a lot more like Modern Warfare than Cold War, I'm curious if people will look differently at Cold War over the next 2 years. They'll begin to notice, hey, Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2 in 2022 feel very similar, so if you didn't like Modern Warfare 2019 or Vanguard, you might not be happy with a new Call of Duty until 2023 when Treyarch returns. So this game may become more appreciated as time goes on, but that's how the Call of Duty cycle works, of course. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the 1-year anniversary of Cold War? How have you felt about the game over the last 365 days? Has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse for you? And overall, what are your plans for the future? Do you plan on continuing to play this franchise, or are you putting down the franchise considering Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2 will feel relatively similar to one another? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.